Back in the summer of 2023, we built a garden room at the bottom of our garden. But just exactly how much did it cost to make? Well, I've got an envelope full of receipts, so let's get in there and let's find out just exactly how much we spent and how much potentially you could be spending on a garden room at the bottom of your garden. So let's get to it. Hey up Duck, you're right. My name is Tom Richardson. If you haven't already, please do like and subscribe to my channel. So, like I said, back in the summer of 2023, we decided to build a garden room or log cabin or glorified shed, as some delightful individual decided to call it, at the bottom of our garden. But just exactly how much did it cost to make from start to finish? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. So hold on to your seats, let's have at it, and I'm going to tell you everything that we spent. I'm going to summarise on some things, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to price every individual screw up because that would be tedious for you to watch and you probably would turn off and go somewhere else. So let's get straight to it and start with the big purchases. So the first big purchase was the concrete. The concrete we laid ourselves, me, my eldest son Harvey and my middle son Sam. We laid the concrete ourselves. We wheelbarrowed it all the way to the bottom of the garden and we laid it and we tapped it down and everything, job done. Now, if you've watched that video, you've probably seen there was no reinforcement, no steel reinforcement anyway. That is because I added the fibres whilst we was laying the concrete. I got the fibres off of Amazon for about 20 quid, so that was the first purchase. And to be honest, it has held up great. I was a bit skeptical to begin with because normally you'd mix the fibres with the concrete, but as it's getting mixed, but that didn't happen. I just sprinkled them in, I'd thrown them in as we was laying it, because obviously you had a cement mixer outside, a big concrete wagon come with the concrete in. So I was just mixing it as we're going, and there has been no cracks, no imperfections, no nothing in the concrete since we laid it. It has been absolutely amazing. So putting the fibres in ourselves and not using the reinforcement saved about £150, so that was a bargain. But let me get on to the price of the concrete, and the price of the concrete was, we purchased it from Right Mix Concrete over in Sheffield, and it was £456 including VAT and delivery. That was for 2 cubic meters worth of concrete. So that was the first big purchase that we had. It went down really well, no issues really whatsoever. So go back and check out that video on how I used the fibres when I mixed the concrete, or when the concrete got laid, should I say. Right, let's move on to the biggest purchase of all, which is the log cabin. So let's get to that one. Right, so the main purchase, which is the log cabin, obviously. We purchased this from Wix, got it off their website, and because I've got a Wix trade card, I get 10% off. I get 10% off all the purchases that I made throughout this build process, and at the end, I'm just going to add the 10% on top of what I spent, just to give you some idea if you've not got a trade card. So, but if you want to get a trade card, go and get one, because you do save quite a lot of money. So let's get on to the log cabin. The log cabin was the Danbury model. You'll see it on Wix's website. It was the 12 foot by 12 foot, 28mm thick in the wood, just a normal flat roof. Comes supplied with absolutely everything. It comes with the windows, the doors, screws, felt for the roof, timbers for the floor, you name it, it comes with it. And for one price, I paid £2,205. That is with my 10% discount, so it should have been £2,450. So we made a great saving on that, as you can appreciate. Right, so your building and your base are a given. You know you're going to have to be spending that amount of money on your building and your base, but it's everything else. What you want to do to the inside of the building once you've got it up. For us, we decided to put a stud wall in, insulate it, plasterboard it, stick some electrics in. That does add up. So I'm just going to quickly run through some of them prices that we spent on the items that we needed to get that done. Other things like screws, bolts, paint, things like that, I'm not going to run through. I'll just do at the end, I'll just do a tally up and say, look, this is what we spent on this amount for your added extras, the unforeseens, let's say, in some cases. Right, so we've got the price for us building as concrete. That's fantastic. The next thing we got was some decking oil to treat it. Use decking oil basically because it was one of the cheapest products to use, and it is just as good as anything else to treat it. So I used the No Nonsense from Screwfix. Each tin was £28.99. I used 4 of them, so £115.96 on decking oil to treat the whole of the building. Now, when I said the whole of the building, I mean absolutely everything, from the flooring to the walls, to the ceiling, to the windows and to the doors. I covered absolutely everything at least twice, so everything got saturated in it. It soaked straight in, and it's done a great job up to yet throughout these winter months. The next thing I purchased was some roof felt adhesive for the roofing. You do get supplied with, in this model anyway, I'm not sure what you're going to be purchasing, but you do get supplied with roofing felt. I bought some adhesive just to make sure that it's not going to come up once it's windy. Last thing you want it doing is blowing off in the middle of the night, and then it starts raining, and then it's just going to ruin your roof. So what I did, I stuck the roofing felt down with this adhesive. The adhesive came in at £67.50. Now that is with my trade discount. So for £67.50 for a massive tin of adhesive, check that video out if you haven't already, which wasn't bad because I've still got at least half a tin left that I can use on other projects when I need it. The next thing was the paint for the exterior of the building. We got the Cuprinol. One was shades, the other was just like a standard fence paint. So we got the grey for the exterior of the building, then the green, which is the shades type for the windows and the doors, and it went on really well. To be fair, I've got a video of that on his channel as well. Check that out. It went on great. Nice little 3-inch soft brush. No time at all. It was on and done. So that's for the exterior. Let's get on to the interior. So for the CLS timbers was £78. We got that from Wix. Then we got the insulation. I got a big roller insulation from Amazon a while back that I used on a different project. I knew this project was coming up, so I made sure I had enough to do that project. And this project, that at the time it cost me £100 for 45 metre square roll of insulation. So we used that, the bubble wrap silver backed insulation, that's what we got. And then we also used just an insulation roll, big roller insulation. That came in at £63 plus my discount. Would have been on top of that, so £63, and then that's with my discount on. So the insulations performed really well. As soon as I put that insulation up, you could tell a difference straight away. Don't be scared of using the rolled insulation. I know there's your Kingspan and what have you, but for £63 and some leftovers from a different project, cheap as chips to do the insulation. I did the walls, the floor and the ceiling all in one go with that. The next thing was the plasterboards. Got them from Wix, got them delivered. £110 for the plasterboards, and the plaster on top of that was 48 quid. I did have some scrim tapes and some edgings already from other projects that I've done in the past, so I didn't have to go and spend them, but if I did, you'd be talking probably another £40–50 on top of that for scrim tape and trims for around your windows and your doors and what have you. Luckily I didn't have to spend that, so they're not factored in to this pricing. So that's it for the walls and the floors and the insulation. The next thing was the ceiling. The ceiling we purchased was UPVC cladding that I got from a fascias company that we have local to us. I used the cladding because it is light. It's a hell of a lot lighter than the plasterboards. If I was, I'd probably have to use 4.5, 5 plasterboards hanging up on that ceiling, and to be fair, the joists were probably only 2.5 inch thick. So for the case of using the cladding, plus it also looks great for the lightness, it was fantastic for what we needed it for this project. So that's what I went with, but it did come in at £146.52, but I don't think that ceiling would have liked having the plasterboard and then the plaster on top, because the pitch isn't too steep, so last thing you want is it bowing in the middle and then stagnant water and there's water just sitting on top of the ceiling, because it's only felt, it's only thin, it's not going to do it any favours whatsoever. So the next thing we got was the flooring. Once again, we got that from Wickes. It was the cheapest flooring they had at the time, and to be fair, it is fantastic. You wouldn't believe that it was the cheapest that they had in there. It looks great. It went down really well, and I've laid a lot of laminate in my time. And it went down super fast. It clicked together brilliantly. We've had no separation whatsoever, no problems whatsoever with that flooring since we've put it down. It was on offer at the time, plus I got my trade discount on top of that, so for £120, unbelievable. Another expense though that I didn't think about was trims for the windows and doors once I'd finished them, just to finish the edges off on the inside, and especially around the doors where you're going to be seeing them. Obviously you're going to be looking out your window, so you are going to see that they've not been finished off. They came in at £47.50, which for £50 for trims around your windows and doors is a bit steep in my eyes, but I'm extremely tight. So the next thing is hidden extras. This is what I'm calling them, the unforeseens, and things that you've just, completely forgot I needed that. One of them kind of moments. You've got screws. I put extra screws in the floor and in the ceiling. Boards that went on top, I screwed everyone down. In the instructions it said not to, but I decided to, and I'm glad I did. Then you've got things like expanding foam for in the floor, then you've got staples for the insulation, then you've got grab adhesives, you've got dry lining boxes for your plug sockets and your window sockets, you've got your lights and your plugs themselves, then you've got things like your lighting, your consumer unit for your electrics altogether they need to get wired into. I think that coming at 50 quid. All these things just add up and add up and add up, and then you've got things like your armoured cable that we had to run from the house all the way to the bottom of the garden. That weren't cheap. Luckily though, my dad is a qualified electrician. I run the armoured cable in myself. He just came in and wired it up. Same with the wiring inside the log cabin into the consumer unit, and then all to the plug sockets and the light sockets. He had his own cabling and his wiring for that, so that didn't cost me anything to have the electrician come out and do it, because it was my dad that did it. So I'm going to be saying, how much would an electrician charge for that? 500 quid, let's say. We'll just call it a straight 500 notes, so we'll add that onto price at end as well. But I did save quite a lot of money with my dad coming out, so yeah, which was a proper Bruce It bonus. Right, so the building and the base came in at a grand total of £2,661. Fantastic. If all you're doing is a base and a building, you're roughly going to be spending between £2.5 and £3 for a building that size and of that quality. It's everything else. Got all the receipts here. I've gone through some of the prices, and everything that you can see here came in at £1,178.68. So we'll add them together. Get a grand total of £3,839.68. Ta-da! Finished. Or is it? Can you do your electrics yourself? Do you know somebody who can do it? If you can't, all I'm going to do is stick another 500 quid on top of this price, because I'm going to be guessing that's roughly the kind of price you're going to be spending. You can run the armoured cable in yourself. All you've got to do is dig a trench, get it to where you need it to do, and then they can just stick them together or do whatever they do. So all I'm going to do for that is add £500 on top of my total of £3,839.68, which comes in at a whopping £4,339.60. That's with the £500 on top of there. Fantastic, he says. Fantastic. Brilliant. Well, fear not, I've just got to turn this over because there is something else. As you're probably aware, when I was waffling on and talking to you, I was saying my discount. I get a discount from Wickes, so you've got to factor that into the prices. So what I've done, I've gone through all my Wickes prices and I've gone up with a total of that, because I saved 10%. If you've not got a Wickes trade card, try and get one, because I saved 10% on my flooring and everything that I needed to purchase from Wickes, like the paint, What else? The CLS timber, you name it. Everything I purchased from Wickes on here, I got 10% off. Plus, I got 10% off my building as well. The building came in at £2,205, if you can remember, and it should have been £2,450. I got my 10% discount on that, so I've saved some money. So with my 10% discount off all the receipts and off my building, I saved £315.16p, which is fantastic. To some people it might not seem a lot, but for us it's a great saving. It's a great saving. For anybody it's a great saving. Don't get me wrong, I would have liked more, but 10% just from getting a trade card, applying online, no problems with it whatsoever. You can use it on your phone. You get your phone on, you get a little app on your phone, a trade app with a card on. You just show it them, they'll beep it, and your 10% comes straight off. You can use it online as well. We ordered the building online and I got my 10% discount on that. So without my discount, the price would have come in at £4,654 and 76p. So just over £4,500, which is a lot of money. So if you've not got your discount and you're having to pay an electrician, that's what you're going to be roughly spending. Anything between £4,000 and £5,000 for a building of this quality, to how we've done it, insulated it, and put the electrics in. So that's not what we spent, that's what you could spend. You might even spend more if you're having to have somebody come out and do it for your labour costs. You might be rocking into 8-9 grand's worth. Is it really worth that? Probably not for a building like this, but anyway, that's what we spent. So there you have it, that's it, it's done. So we spent a grand total of £3,839.68 on getting our log cabin slash garden room slash glorified shed at the bottom of our garden. Was it worth it? 100%. It looks absolutely brilliant from the outside and from the inside. It's nice and insulated. We've had no problems whatsoever throughout the winter months with cold. We have had some issues with expansion, which I will go into. Not with the walls, but with the ceiling moving up and down. Luckily, because I'm not as stupid as I look, I didn't attach the ceiling to the walls. I left room for that expansion. But I could not believe how much it has expanded throughout these winter months. I will do a video on that, so check that video out if I have not put it up already. So that is it. We're done. The log cabin build process is finished. So the grand total, £3,839.68. Do you think it were worth it? Drop me a comment, let me know. I'll see you later. Ta-da, bye-bye.